Welcome to Brilliantly British. My name is Lawrence and today I'm going to show you how to make a fantastic Brilliantly British coffee walnut cake. So as I show you how to make it, sit back, relax with a cup of tea in hand and please enjoy this episode. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. So far on the channel, we've shown you how to make an array of beautiful Brilliantly British cakes and desserts. Visually appealing treats that taste as good as they look. Well, for those not yet content with our releases thus far, today's release will certainly deliver on all fronts. This, my dear viewers, is a Brilliantly British coffee walnut cake. Flavorful, elegant, and conveniently simple to make, today's episode will show you how to make it from scratch with a delivered verdict at the end. So now that we have your attention, with your interest peaking, allow me to introduce the ingredients to you. For today's Brilliantly British coffee walnut cake, you will need some cream cheese, some oil, some self-raising flour, some walnuts, some butter, ideally homemade Brilliantly British butter. Follow the link up there to learn how to make your own at home. You will need some eggs, some whole coffee beans. We're going to be using proper coffee, not the instant stuff this time around. You'll need some demerara sugar, some full fat heavy whipping cream, some icing sugar, and if you're not using salted butter, you will need a pinch of salt. That's it for the making of today's Brilliantly British coffee walnut cake. But, before you get started, before you do anything at all, as always, switch on your kettle, brew yourself a nice cup of hot tea so that you can sip on that whilst you bake. Now, most recipes call for instant coffee, but please go the extra mile and use freshly ground coffee, which should be left to brew, allowing you to attend to your hydration. Anyway, whilst the coffee brews, cream some softened room temperature butter until pale and fluffy, adding oil a minute into this step. Once fluffy and pale, sip on some more tea, then incorporate one egg at a time in order to form an emulsion without it splitting. With all of the eggs incorporated to form the cake emulsion, I'll turn my attention back to the coffee, pushing down the filter in order to extract my freshly brewed drink. Pour the filtered coffee into a jug, followed by the addition of some brown sugar, making sure to whisk well in order to thoroughly dissolve the sugar in the coffee. If your coffee has cooled down too much, you'll struggle to dissolve the sugar, so feel free to reheat the coffee if necessary. With your coffee and sugar solution made, incrementally and in tandem, dust in flour followed by your coffee to form the most beautiful coffee cake batter, making sure to fold the flour in gently in order to prevent gluten development. So definitely do this by hand. At this stage, you should also fold in your chopped walnuts, but I forgot, so ended up adding them in later on, which you'll see in a moment. With the batter almost finished, begin to preheat your oven whilst I rectify my walnut-related mistake from earlier on. Knock the filled pan against your worktop surface to agitate and release any pockets of air before sliding into your preheated oven to bake low and slow. Now, with all that free time on your hands, we'd recommend rehydrating whilst enjoying the rest of our Brilliantly British content, helping us out by liking and subscribing. Thank you. Once baked, the cake, if prodded with a knife or probe, should leave no residues at all and of course look as stunning as this. The aroma of the thing needs to be experienced, I must say. But before proceeding, the cake will need to be left alone to cool completely, so place it to one side and relax. Once cool, remove a thin layer from the top of the cake, as the cake will need a relatively flat surface to rest on once overturned. I then delicately peeled off the baking paper before marking the cake in preparation for 3 equidistant slices, which if done carefully should divide the cake into 4 even slices. This task is made easier with a steady hand, ample time, and a long, thin bread knife. With the cake sliced, proceed by blending walnuts into a smooth paste, which will require some patience as well as a watchful eye in order to ensure that the walnuts aren't over-processed into a walnut butter. But in the interim, pass the time by planning your next Brilliantly British feat. Moreover, from time to time, feel free to stop your machine to stir the contents before continuing. Once formed, prise out your walnut paste, turning it out into a bowl, and thereto beat in cream cheese until homogeneous, pale and fluffy. Dust in icing sugar thereafter, incorporating by folding. Then pour in medium cream before beating to stiff peaks with a medium speed, as the cream is prone to splitting if whipped too aggressively. This step should take 5 to 10 minutes to carry out. Having made walnut cream cheese frosting with the aid of the cake pan, first lay in the bottom cake slice before spooning on and spreading a portion of your frosting. Once spread, gently top with another slice, resisting the urge to push down upon it, before repeating until the cake has been fully assembled. The cake will compact itself under its own weight, coupled with the cake form, ensuring that the frosting doesn't spill out. With the cake assembled, before continuing, we recommend resting the cake in your fridge for at least 2 hours, more than enough time to rehydrate, in my opinion. After resting the cake in the fridge, take the plunge and turn the cake out, which should leave you feeling relieved and quite proud indeed. With the end in sight, top with another helping of frosting, making sure to make this layer look half decent, and if you're like me, you'll grab some tweezers and, like a jeweler, decorately adorn your cake with walnuts and coffee beans for a show-stopping appearance. Now, stand back and admire this thing. Behold, the ultimate coffee walnut cake. So, with the cake made and with a cup of tea at hand, I think it's now time for tasting. All right, I have a slice, a fork, a cup of tea. We are ready to roll. So, 3, 2, 1. Oh, wow. Fantastic. I mean, brilliant. The coffee, the richness, the depth that the coffee gives is fantastic. This cake is so good, particularly because actual coffee goes into this. You can, of course, use instant coffee, but the taste, the depth of flavor, you cannot, it's unmistakable really when you use freshly ground coffee. The walnuts in here are well rounded, they add a beautiful texture, a lovely subtle nuttiness, and the cream cheese cream mixture just counteracts the bitterness, the depth of the coffee to balance this cake completely. And well, when you've had a piece, please sip on a cup of tea, cleanse your palate, and repeat this process again and again and again. This is fantastic. This is brilliant. This is brilliantly British. Please make this cake. Thank you all for allowing me to show you how to make a coffee walnut cake. Knowing that you loved this episode, please click the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button so that you don't miss any of our new releases. Tell everyone you know, and I mean everyone that you know, about the Brilliantly British food on this channel, and follow us on all of the social media platforms that this channel is on, and I will see you next time.